Hi guys, thanks for joining me in today's video. Today I am filming a tag video. This is my 4th tag video in quite a short space of time. It just seems to have happened that way, but I'm not complaining. I actually really enjoy doing these tag videos. So I hope you enjoy it too. So I was tagged by the lovely Claire at Smurfygurly, and she was tagged by Moody Boo, who is actually the creator of this tag. This is actually quite a cool idea. And I'm really pleased that Claire tagged me in it because it's a really interesting and quite a different kind of tag. It's a category tag, but there's some really cool subjects and ideas in this one. As you've seen from the title, it's called Show Me Your Spritz, and there's 9 categories which all sound really mental. It's Unicorns Are Real, that's the first one. Second one is called The House of the Rising Scent. Then we've got Heart the Hype. Then it's Renounce the Ounce. Then we've got Love is Blind Buying. Then it's Crystal Baller. Then it's I Take It Rare. Number 8 is I'm Stuck on Band-Aid. And number 9 is Brain Farts Stink Too. I'll explain each one as we come to each category. So let's just dive into the first one, which is Unicorns Are Real. And that basically is a scent that's rare or hard to find. So I will point out that I only started collecting fragrances a year ago. So I'm not really an established, collector. I'm not really a collector. I just like buying ones that I love. Nothing really that I've been particularly searching for. There's nothing that's long standing that I've waited years to get. So I think I'll describe myself as a bit of a fragrance harlot, if I'm honest. Like, I'm throwing myself at perfumes all the time, really impulsively, and then selling them on again. And so there's nothing that's been on my radar that I've sort of waited ages for, or that I'm searching high and low for. In terms of finding one that's rare, the only one I think I have in my collection that I really spent the most time trying to get hold of, at least, my Confessions of a Garden Gnome. I say my because I just feel like this is my scent. I don't allow anyone else to have this scent. This is just for me only, because it's just too special and I just love it too much. So I had to buy this from a company. I actually contacted Filth and Manle, who are based in Melbourne, Australia. And although they could send me a bottle from them or even a sample, they said to me that it would cost so much in shipping that they recommend me go to another company. I forgot what it's called. I think it might have been Italy or Russia. No, it could have been Russia. I can't remember now. So that's what I did, and based on their recommendation, I ended up buying a bottle of this from this company. So that was fine. It wasn't a blind buy or anything, but they still don't supply you can't really buy these in the UK, and you do have to go overseas to buy them, which is just one of those things. But I consider this my unicorn because I just love it so much. So what we've got is a beautiful, it's a very dominantly lily and lily of the valley mixed with ambergris. That's kind of mainly what you're getting. And I always talk about this being tobacco-y, but there's no tobacco actually listed in it. But there's something about this reminds me of really beautiful sweet tobacco. It's just such a special fragrance to me that I would consider this to be my personal unicorn. Change the angle. I think it's a better angle, and I think we've got more light. Next category is House of the Rising Scent, and this means new perfume houses I've discovered and loving. So I've got a lot of perfume houses that I've been discovering lately, but this category specifically asks about the newest one. And the newest perfume house I've discovered lately is Terrence Hughes perfumes. I have bought 2 from him. I bought them actually only a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, I can't remember now. So Terrence Hughes is a UK perfumer, and you'll find him here on YouTube. He's got his own channel. Up until about 2 weeks ago, I wasn't familiar at all with Terrence Hughes. I had seen him on a few videos on Chris from Fragmental. He has him on his show quite a lot actually, but I wasn't really familiar with him as a person or what he was about. And then my perfume friend Jon Snow sent me some very generous samples. I had Filth and Slut, and I really loved Filth. I loved the leather note in here. I would describe it as a very sweet leather. It's a sweet, dry leather scent that's very creamy, has beautiful musks in it, and there's particular notes in here that Aaron lists as sex notes. Don't ask me what that really means. It does smell really addictive and very sexy. I just love that leather content in here. It is really beautiful. And Rose, I bought this blindly when I bought Filth. Yeah, I'm still working with this Rose. It's got quite a dryness, and there's a bit of an edge to it that I'm not quite familiar with rose scents that I tend to go for yet. But it is nice. I think it's going to be a nice one to layer with other things. So I'm happy to have those. So I've chosen Aaron Terrence Hughes as my new perfume house that I'm enjoying. So next up is Heart the Hype. This is a fragrance where you agree with the hyperbole. There's a new word. Hyperbole. When I got into fragrances, I was watching YouTube. I was glued to it, and I was watching so many different influencers talk about fragrances, and I was completely suckered in, if I'm honest. I first started watching Demi Rowling. If you're just starting out into the fragrance world, she highlights all these different fragrances without going into too much depth, and she's got a way of making them all sound so appealing. She's so easy to watch, and she does a lot of sort of top 10 videos, and she seemed to have a lot of fragrances that I was drawn to, a lot of rose-based ones. I bought a lot from her lists, 2 of which I bought. I'm going to actually feature 3. That's totally cheating. So the first 2 I've honestly talked about so much that I know it's getting boring, but they're bought because I was into the hype. So obviously Delina, Parfums de Malle, Oud Bouquet by Lancome. Those were 2 that I heard Demi Rowling talking about a hell of a lot, and she just made them sound unbelievably beautiful, and honestly I totally agree with everything that was said. As for Fucking Fabulous by Tom Ford, I can't remember who I've watched in regards to hype exactly, but I have to say that most women's channels don't tend to feature this one. It's featured far more on the men's channels. It is a unisex fragrance, but I do think it seems to appeal more to men, which is fine. I really love this fragrance, but I think more with the branding of Tom Ford, that's why it's, talks about and hyped up, and just for that sheer, impacts of the name and everything else. It's one of Tom Ford's, so obviously it gets a lot of hype, it gets a lot of exposure. I do love the scent. I think it's very unusual from all my others. I would call it, if I could name it, I'd call it creme de sage or something to do with white chocolate, because it actually has got this creamy white chocolate vibe happening, which that's the first I actually noticed that recently. I thought it smelled like white chocolate, but with an aromatic sage. This one is very luxurious, very powdery, very feminine. I absolutely adore this fragrance, and it has been incredibly hyped up on many channels. And again, Oud Bouquet is spoken about so often here on YouTube, and I totally agree with the hype on both of them, or all 3 of them. So this is my cheat in having all 3, but I'm going to have to include them all because they all hyped up and they're all worth the hype. Number 4, Renounce the Hype. Totally the opposite to the last one. You were just agreeing with the hype of a fragrance. Sorry everybody that loves this fragrance. I'm really, really sorry. So one that is hyped up, really hyped, or has at least been hyped up over the last I don't know how many years, is Frederic Malle's Portrait of a Lady. I have a sample of this, and I really don't like it. I really don't understand the hype of it, because I love rose fragrances, and this is predominantly a rose fragrance, but to my nose it's a really sharp, horrible patchouli. I mean, I don't like patchouli, so to be fair, I'm not probably going to like it that much, but it's compared to Noir de Noir, which I absolutely love. It's not like Noir de Noir, I'm sorry, it's not. This has got a really bitter, sour, scratchy patchouli, and it's got something that reminds me of, I'm really sorry, but it reminds me of cat pee. Oh, I'm really sorry to say that, I really am, but I can't explain it any other way. It's just something really sharp and vinegary as well about this fragrance. Perhaps it's just me. I mean, I've tried to wear it before on my skin, it just came off absolutely awful. So this is just my chemistry, it just doesn't like me, I don't like it, that's fine. Rose quite often gets paired with patchouli in fragrance, which is fine, but it's not my preference, that's all. And although I'm not a patchouli fan, there's many that I have smelt that I don't mind. So I apologise to all the POAL fans, but me and this one just don't get along. So that's my number 4. That is me renouncing the hype. Number 5, Love is Blind Buying. So I didn't know whether this meant my most recent or whether it's my most loved. I'm not sure. So I'm going to feature 2. So I'm doing a lot of cheating here, I'm sorry. My most recent blind buy was the Elie Saab Essence 1 Rose. Really enjoying this. I'm enjoying it more and more that I wear it. I'm actually wearing it now. This is quite different to all my other rose scents, so it's nice to have another rose in another direction. This one is actually quite powdery. It's very sweet and very powdery, and I mentioned before on a previous haul video that it smells like the Turkish Delight, you know, icing sugar. That's exactly what it reminds me of, icing sugar, but on Turkish Delight, very much a rose sort of sugared powder. So that's my most recent blind buy. But my most loved blind buy, Dancing Roses by Viktor and Rolf. Bought it based on YouTube reviews and how I heard about it, and also Fragrantica, and I thought, wow, this just sounds amazing, and I bought it panicking because it, you know, it's not cheap, but I didn't pay full price for this. And the moment I smelt it, I was absolutely blown away. Fruity, boozy, rose cherry. I could talk about this till the cows come home, so I won't go on and on, but yeah, my most successful blind buy for sure. Category 6 is the Crystal Baller, and that is your most anticipated perfume purchase. And this one's going to surprise people. It certainly surprised me, because, and I could almost have included this on the hype, but it's Bacarat Rouge 540 Extrait. Everyone in their, I don't know, second cousin twice removed has heard of this fragrance by now. I didn't mention this on the hype because it's not the 540, the normal 540 Parfum, and that one obviously is very much the most hyped fragrance I think in history at the moment, but this is the Extrait, which wasn't hyped as much. I found this sample, actually, I didn't even know I had it, and I wore it. I started wearing it to see what it was like, and I have still got a sample of the other Bacarat Rouge 540. I've worn these side by side, and these do differ enough for me. The Parfum to me is much bigger, sharper, sweeter, louder. I don't know, it's just too much for me. This Extrait, more demure perhaps, and there's this massive hit of ambergris in here, which the other one doesn't have. The notes are similar to both of them, but they do differ enough, and they differ enough that they bring a different scent. At least on my skin, this one was so much more enjoyable, and I've literally gotten through this sample so fast, and I want a bottle of it. I really want a bottle of this. It's so expensive. It's £300 a bottle. Because the market and demand is so high for Baccarat, both the Extrait and the Parfum, the number of people selling fakes on eBay is also incredibly high. There are so many bottles on eBay, but I've watched these videos on how to tell a fake, and the majority look like questionable, and I don't think I'd ever chance it with these. Safe to say that I would love a bottle of Bacarat Rouge 540 Extrait, and I think it's going to look awesome. A white one in the form of Gender Fluidity Gold. I've got my lovely blue Oud Satin Mood, insert Bacarat Rouge Extrait, put my patriotic hat on, and we've got all the colours of the Union Jack. Number 7, I Take It Rare, a perfume that others don't have. Well, I don't know who's got what, but I know that this fragrance doesn't ever get talked about, and I seem to be the only one talking about it. Maybe nobody else really likes it, I don't know. So, Lolita Lempicka, Eau de Toilette. So, EDT, not EDP. I'm a broken record on this one, but clearly I love it a lot, and I'd love to know who else has got this. Has anybody else got the Lolita Lempicka Eau de Toilette, and what do you think of it? So delicate, so gorgeous. This is my, as I've said before, this is my very much a signature scent for me. It's got that classic violet iris powderiness, very feminine, but it's also got that modern twist with the woodland and the woodsy and the peppery and the ivy and all the green, and it's just such a lovely mix of all those notes. And that is my fragrance that I have nobody else has, at least I don't think they do. Please let me know. Oh my god, I totally love the next question. Number 8, I'm stuck on Band-Aid. So this is create a perfume for your favourite band, singer or actor, and what would the three main notes be? Okay, this is actually not hard for me because I've kind of already had an idea for a fragrance, and this is not like me having any plans to make one. I don't have any plans to. This is just me having fun in my own little head. So I wanted to make a perfume for a pirate with a lot of emphasis on an octopus. I love the creature. I think it's the most beautiful, unusual, alien of a creature. And in terms of it being piratey, I was thinking more like the Kraken, right? So The best pirate in history is got to be Jack Sparrow, played by, of course, the amazing Johnny Depp, whom I absolutely love. So he is my actor of choice. Johnny Depp, honestly, there's no other actor for me. I've always loved Johnny Depp. Ever since I saw him in Edward Scissorhands, the obsession started, I think. But certainly his iconic role as Jack Sparrow is well known. Everyone loves it. And he's such a cool pirate. Put the heart and soul of Jack Sparrow in this fragrance, making it a signature scent for him, but have the very much a design concept around the Kraken. So I actually saw an image of a perfume bottle on Google, I think, or Pinterest, one or the other, and I'd have something like that, like this beautiful octopus kind of wrapping itself around the bottle. And it would be very sort of dark and ominous, but really beautiful and ornate at the same time. And the kind of notes that I was playing around with. So if we're talking Jack Sparrow, we are talking dark and edgy, with tons of charm and tons of rum. So the main notes in this fragrance have got to be rum and loads of it. Definitely salty, ambergris, green coconut as well. Some sort of not too sweet. We're talking raw, fresh, still on the tree kind of coconut. Being that the concept of the design behind this bottle is the Kraken, I think we've got to chuck in some black ink for good measure. So we're talking boozy, marine-y, salty, charming and sexy. And I would have to call it either the Kraken or black ink. They both sound pretty cool, don't they? The last category is Brain Farts Stink 2. And that is our biggest regret blind buy. My biggest regret blind buy, it was based on naivety, ignorance, impulse, just stupidity, to be honest. I love the sound of people, how they described Lavendes Trianon by Lancome. I loved how they described it. I thought the way it was described and how I read up on it, it was going to be an instant love. How could I go wrong with something that smelled like lavender cookies and milk? How can you go wrong with that? As it turns out, I'm not a fan of that sort of scent. It's very similar to Montguerlain. So a seller was selling this bottle of Lavendes Trianon on eBay, good old eBay. And before I even opened the box, before I even smelt the fragrance, I knew something wasn't quite right with this. Because the actual packaging, the actual box, is so flimsy. It's almost made from this paper that barely holds itself together. It's thin, and I thought, something's not right here. So here we are, Lavendes Trianon. Now, anyone that's got Lavendes Trianon will see instantly there's something wrong with this. First of all, this image here is a rose. I don't know which of the line has a rose, but this one certainly shouldn't. It should have sprigs of lavender going up it. So I thought, okay, I've got a fake. I knew I had a fake at that point. The bottle cap should be magnetic, and obviously it's not. It's just, this one is cheap and not very good at all. Now, I wouldn't have known what this should have smelled like. Obviously, being that this was not the real thing, I had no idea what to compare it to. However, I did get a sample not long after this, and it does smell incredibly similar to the original. I think it's a bit weaker, perhaps. It's been watered down. Yeah, it's not my style of scent, regardless of whether it's authentic or not. But the fact is that it's not authentic at all. After a lot of back and forth squabbling on eBay, the seller decided to settle on a almost full refund, in that I didn't have to send this back. I wanted to keep it as a reminder, as a reference. £15 for a full bottle of Lavendes Trianon, which was near enough as a reference. I was happy with that. I kept it in the end. So I think this is quite a fair example of a very much regretted blind buy. So that concludes my Show Me Your Spritz tag video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to tag Yana from Tom Elie's channel. Love to know your fragrance picks. And I'm also going to tag the lovely lady over at The Scented. I haven't tagged The Scented before, and I really hope that she gets to do this. You get to do this video. You've got a great selection of fragrance, and I love the no bullshit approach when she's talking about fragrances as well. Really cool. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on your picks on this one. And lastly, I'm going to tag Tony. Tony, love to know your thoughts on all your picks as well. So Tony over at Fragdicted, consider yourself tagged. And that is all from me. I'm going to leave you there. I hope to see you all again on my next one. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you all again soon. Take care. Bye.